As I continue revisiting teachings I've explored at different points in my life, I find myself circling back to topics I once touched then set aside. One of those is the questions of biblical books that aren't included in every Bible.
That kind of revisiting is actually very common. Many spiritual questions deepen over time, rather than resolve all at once.
This is about questioning, not to tear anything down, but to look a little closer and wider. I'm revisiting this with fresh eyes and new ears, and I'm sharing it for anyone else who finds themselves on a similar path.
That approach allows history and faith to be explored together, rather than placed in opposition.
When people hear the phrase, books were removed from the Bible, it can sound dramatic, but the history feels more nuanced than that.
It is. Early Christianity didn't begin with one finalized Bible. Different communities preserved and valued different sacred writings.
One group of texts that comes up often is the apocrypha.
Yes, the apocrypha refers to ancient Jewish writings that were part of the Greek scriptures used by early Christians. These books are still included in Catholic and Orthodox Bibles today.
Books like Tobit, Judith, Wisdom of Solomon, Sirach, Baruch, and 1st and 2nd Maccabees.
Exactly. They were read for wisdom, history, and spiritual reflection, even though not every tradition ultimately included them in their canon.
This is usually where the Protestant Reformation enters the conversation.
Right. The Protestant Reformation began in the early 1500s as a movement within Christianity that sought to reform church practices and emphasize scripture, faith, and personal access to God.
And during that time, Protestant leaders chose to follow the Hebrew Old Testament canon.
Yes, that canon did not include the Apocrypha, which led to those books being separated from most Protestant Bibles, while Catholic and Orthodox traditions retained them.
So today, different Christian traditions still carry slightly different collections of scripture.
They do, and that difference reflects history, not a failure of faith.
I like approaching this as an open conversation rather than a final conclusion.
That posture leaves room for humility, understanding, and continued growth.
Have you ever revisited a belief or teaching and discovered new depths simply by asking wider questions?
Questioning doesn't weaken faith, it deepens understanding.